Hey there friends, Jacob Moore here. Today I'm recording from one of my favorite places in the entire world, my parents' house in Michigan. And it's really fitting that I'm sharing what I am today because I actually started writing it when I was here over the holidays. And normally I don't like to read on camera, but I'm going to make an exception because I think what I'm going to share is really timely and necessary given all of the recent celebrity suicides. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to read a letter that I wrote originally for legacy.com entitled My Unsuicide Note. Dear friends and family, I have everything to live for. I do not want to die. Not for a very long time anyway. And when I do, I want to be an old silver fox looking back on a deeply satisfying life filled with love and laughter, as evidenced by the nostalgic stories I'll tell ad nauseum, detailing my numerous youthful adventures. I write this to you now while I am still relatively young and of sound body and mind because the sad reality is I may not always be able to hold on to this healthy perspective. I say that based on my family history and my personal experiences. You see, depression runs in my family. My birth father actually died by suicide as a result of it. And growing up, everyone told me how much I looked and acted like him. So in high school, when I became severely depressed, I started thinking that I was going to die by suicide too. Fortunately, my mom was an amazing advocate for me. She recognized the crisis warning signs and got me the help that I needed. She saved my life when I had given up all hope. Despite her support, I still really struggled with depression for many years after that. But having an ally by my side allowed me to see a tiny pinprick of light at the end of a very long tunnel. It took a long time to find a sustainable wellness plan, but I did. And I'm happy to say that I haven't had a major bout of depression in a long time. So why am I writing this letter? You see, my father was 31 years old when he took his own life. And once I made it past that age, the fear of my own suicide ebbed and I relaxed a little bit. But recently, I realized something that really shook me to my core. Most of the recent high-profile suicides, Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington, Dave Mira, Robin Williams, and now Anthony Bourdain, Kate Spade, they all happened to these wonderful, talented people with resources when they were past their 30s. It made me realize that I may not be out of the woods yet. Now, to be clear, my history does not mean that I'm destined to die by suicide. Still, I want to keep it that way. And this wake-up call has given me a renewed sense of diligence toward my own unsuicide. That's why I'm putting together this action plan, because it's way easier to talk about this now when I'm in good health and thinking straight than in a situation that could occur if depression comes after me again. So according to the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, there are some warning signs that you may see from me or someone else someday. I'm not going to read them all here, but I'm going to include them in this post so that you can look at them and see if for yourself or someone else you recognize any of those signs. If I'm exhibiting any of these symptoms or have abandoned my desire for longevity, it's likely that my mental illness is making me suicidal. And I hereby give you my permission to take positive action on my behalf. They say that early treatment and intervention are the most effective ways to help prevent suicide. So I'd like to share some tactics from the National Institute of Mental Health that you could use if you find me or someone else in crisis. The first one is just ask. Are you thinking about killing yourself? It's not an easy question, but studies show that asking at-risk individuals if they're suicidal does not increase suicides or suicidal thoughts. Keep them safe. Reducing a suicidal person's access to highly lethal items or places is an important part of suicide prevention. While this is not always easy, asking the at-risk person if they have a plan or removing or disabling lethal means can make a difference. Be there. Listen carefully and learn what the individual is thinking and feeling. Findings suggest that acknowledging and talking about suicide may in fact reduce rather than increase suicidal thoughts. Help them connect. Save the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline's number in your phone so you have it when you need it. The number is 800-273-8255. You can also text the word ALLY, ALLY, to 741-741 to reach the crisis text line. You can also help make a connection with a trusted individual like a family member, a friend, a spiritual advisor, or a mental health professional. When in doubt, call 911. Stay connected. Staying in touch after a crisis or if someone's discharged from care can make a huge difference. Studies have shown that the number of suicide deaths go down when someone follows up with an at-risk person. You can be that person. We can even set up what I like to call an if-then plan to help navigate specific situations. For instance, if you don't hear back from me after 24 hours, then you have my permission to get in touch with me again. If you want to learn more about an if-then plan, go to nostigmas.org, check out our ally training, and we walk you through the process of creating your own if-then plan. Because here's the thing, despite your best intentions, I will likely do my awful best to impede your efforts. What you have to remember is that these behaviors, should they occur, are contrary to my true nature, and I would really truly appreciate your continued help despite how I may act in the moment. To that end, if I am resistant to seeking professional help, then you could always show me this letter to remind me of my commitment to my own wellness. It's important to know that just because I need help doesn't mean that I'm being selfish or weak. I work really hard to keep myself balanced through therapy, peer support, nutritional planning, physical fitness, mindfulness, and several other modalities. But brain disorders have a terrible way of tricking our minds into thinking that suicide is the only solution for ending terrible pain. I promise, no matter how unwell I may seem in the future, I'm still the same Jake. It may be harder to recognize me, but I promise I'm still there. And I apologize in advance for anything that future Jake may say or do if I'm in such a state. But please don't give up on me. Listen, I know that this is a big ask. Suicide and mental illness are really scary and hard to talk about. Even more so, it can be confusing and frustrating to deal with someone in that state. So please understand, I'm not saying that it's your responsibility to save me. As much as I believe that we all have an obligation to help each other, I also believe that each of us has a personal responsibility for ourselves. I'm not asking you to carry me. Just walk beside me as I try to find my way out of the darkness. You may say or do just the right thing to help me see past my future present circumstances. When in doubt, simply just listen without judgment. It helps more than you'll ever know. So from future happy old man me after a long life of unsuicide, thank you. I appreciate you listening and you being there for me or for someone else. By the way, if you're a caretaker or an ally, you need support too, so don't be afraid to reach out for help. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate it. If you have other tips or comments, please leave them there down below, and I appreciate your shares and likes. Thanks, y'all.